Hello, I'm Rachel Sandstrom, and for this next couple questions, we really wanted to go back and explore what it means that it's the 250th anniversary of America, and we wanted to start from the founding of our nation and kind of explore, was religion intertwined, and what did that mean? So for this first question, we wanted to ask, why did the founding documents mention religion?
So the founding documents, and I'm going to be mentioning three here: the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, and then I'll end with the most important one, and that is the University of Georgia Charter, which allowed us to be the first public in the country. So the Declaration of Independence is really seen as a doctrine of America, and religion, or more broadly, God was seen as kind of the person who gave us the rights and the liberties and things like that. And then the Constitution was then the particularization of those things. So to not mention religion was not really even an option for the founding fathers back then. Now I want to add a little bit of context, and that's why I'm going to mention the charter of the University of Georgia, because often students in my class, when we start talking about the founding fathers and they start pontificating about what the early founding fathers meant by these documents, what I end up seeing is a lot of their personal opinions about how they would have written these and the values they would have brought to these documents. I think the context of the Charter of the University of Georgia is important because in our charter it says that we are chartered, that we will both influence beyond the laws and punishments and can be claimed, these things can only be claimed by religion and education. It should therefore be among the first objects of those who wish well the national prosperity to encouragement and support the principles of religion and morality. So just as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution had this idea of God and religion being very central to these documents, our charter did too. Now at this point, things seem very broad, and people tend to look at it and then put in their own definition of religion, or what they personally feel now is the religion that they would infuse in these words. But if you read on down to, I think it's like the 9th clause in the University of Georgia, it says this, and I brought it with me here. It says, all officers appointed to the instruction and the government of the university shall be of Christian religion, and within 3 months after they enter upon the execution of their trust, shall publicly take the oath of allegiance and fidelity and the oaths of office prescribed in the statutes of the university president. So what's in the water here? When we're thinking of religious pluralism, I think largely these founding documents are thinking about the religious pluralism within Christianity and the various sorts that were happening in our country. And because of that, these founding fathers very wisely decided that they wanted to stay out of the business of picking one of these sorts of Christianity to be a state religion.
Well, I think it's in response to that, it's important not to conflate the charter of the University of Georgia with the Declaration of Independence or the Constitution, which, though they both present, I guess, a theistic point of view, they're not specifically saying a Christian religion, which is far different than the charter. As well, this theistic point of view that's presented, it does expressly say religion. It doesn't say Christianity. The challenge with that is now when we have a society where many young people don't claim any religion whatsoever, and then there are also other religions of people who are American citizens, it does complicate things when you go back to, trying to figure out, well, what was the purpose of mentioning it, because you can have a theistic point of view in that theos, that God is not a Christian God, which I personally serve. So it is complicated, but I don't think it is the best practice to lump in the University of Georgia's, which is very specific about the Christian religion. And I personally didn't have to take an oath or a vow of Christianity whenever I started. And if they did apply that now, I think we probably have a lot of faculty, even those who claim to be Christians, who probably be uncomfortable with that.
Let me just say, now this is for context. This is written 9 years after the Declaration of Independence. And we'll be getting to some questions that will inform how have these things informed us even today. And I think you're exactly right. Obviously, none of our faculty have any type of faith declarations that they have to make. I do think it's important. If you were a person living in 1776 or 1785, this is what's in the water, and what people are thinking about back then. Now, and also I think sometimes we run into, and I would agree, dangerous waters when we say, okay, let's bring back 1776 to present day, because this is obviously a very different country than it was in 1776.
True. And at the same time, with it being the Declaration of Independence, they were declaring independence from not only the British, but also a particular type of state-sponsored religion, which they didn't want to transfer that over to the United States. So I think that's probably why it was general. Words like, what is it, the creator, the divine judge, the supreme judge. So I think that, in order to protect, and even the Establishment Clause, to protect religious freedom, and of course, I would argue that they probably did have a Christian point of view, but I think that they were intentionally not specific about that, precisely so that they wouldn't encounter the things that they felt necessary to declare independence from with the British.